Hello and Happy New Year from the Dublin Ford Lincoln family to yours. I'm Tim Redding Jr. and I'd like to invite you to get into the new with Ford, America's #1 selling brand. Also, I want you to come out to the brand new state-of-the-art facility we have here at 2265 Veterans Boulevard. You'll love what we have to offer for sales and service. And on top of great pricing, I want you to know we offer free service loaners to all of our loyal customers. Others call you customers, we call you friends. That's Dublin Ford Lincoln.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the East Lawrence Falcons Coaches Show. I'm your host, Scott Davenport, and today it's my pleasure to introduce to you East Lawrence High School's wrestling coach, Mr. Clint Whitten. And Mr. Whitten, Coach Whitten, nice to have you here on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, now before we get started in talking about wrestling, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about you? I know a lot of the people in the county are going to recognize the name and know you through family connections, but why don't you let everyone know who you are and how long you've been here and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. Well, I'm from Dublin and I've been gone for a long time, pretty much since college, but I've moved back now, and it just so happens that there was a need at East Lawrence for a wrestling coach, and that runs in our family. My dad was the coach at Dublin for a long time, and so I really miss wrestling and just sort of hit at the right time. So I've taken over the program here at East Lawrence, and I'm really glad to be here. All
right. Now, Coach, why don't you give the folks sort of a rundown on, I know that, some of the folks may not realize that really the wrestling season's a lot longer than a lot of folks realize it, especially once you get in. I mean, even when you get into the area and state competitions, because you've got duels and then individuals,
sure,
going. Why don't you give folks a sort of a rundown on the season that y'all have had leading up to the dual state championship?
Sure. Well, we start right at the end of football season, and there's a little bit of overlap. So there's a time when we have only part of our team because those guys are still playing football. But we start in the fall and the late fall, and we go all the way through the Thanksgiving holidays and the Christmas holidays, and the end of the season, finishes around Valentine's Day. So it's a long season because of the holidays. We start out doing dual matches and tournaments, and we've done very well. The kids have done great this year. And then we build up to a dual area and dual state tournament where, one team goes against the whole other team. It's like basketball. The team wins or loses as a team and advances through the brackets. And so, we had we got second in the area this year.
Why don't you give the folks some, a rundown of some of the teams that were in our area? Because we had Bowden, Dublin.
Yeah, Bowden, Dublin, Heard County. Most of the schools besides us in Dublin are in the northwest area. But just because of the way the map broke up, they needed to move two teams up, and us and Dublin being in central Georgia, they put us in that northern northwestern bracket. And Bremen has been very dominant.
Yeah, they've been a traditional powerhouse
in that area for several years. And Bremen won the area this year, and they got first, and we got second, and Dublin got third in the dual tournament. We also have an individual or traditional.
We'll get into traditional afterwards. So
sure, okay.
So now in the case of the area tournament, we had to travel to Lamar County.
We did,
and the kids did real well. Like you said, finished second in area. It's a little bit different with the lack of enough teams to have a true region, kind of championship. You're getting from a large section of the state here that you're having to face.
Sure.
And so we had, give the rundown of some of the other teams that we had there.
Well, there's Heard County, Bowden, and Bremen, and us, Dublin, and I don't know if I can name all of them, but most of them.
Lamar County.
And the reason it's hard for me to name them is because we don't. Those are not our everyday opponents, other than Dublin. We're traveling into that area.
Right.
And we traditionally, for years, East Lawrence had been in the lower with with Jeff Davis and Vidalia and some of the Toombs and
Dodge, yeah.
the southern schools. But now that we're in that upper area, and me coming home, fairly recently, I'm not super familiar with the area because we're sort of outsiders. We're outsiders in the area. Us and Dublin both are going up, up there to their territory to wrestle, and so it's
And the duels are, I don't want to use the word traditional, but it's a double elimination tournament, correct?
It is. It's a double elimination tournament. This is single with a wrestle back for a third,
right?
And then a true second, challenge opportunity. But it's a bracketed tournament, and so we're seeded before the tournament, and we were seeded second, and we got second. So I guess the seeding was correct. But we did very well. We really, other than the one team that caught us, Bremen.
Well, they caught everybody.
We're the only ones that score on them.
Yeah,
so.
they caught everybody. Yeah.
But we beat the other teams, pretty handily, and I was really proud of the kids. We have a good dual team, better than we're a better dual team than a tournament team, a traditional tournament team, which means we have a lot of kids who are good wrestlers, above average, and we don't have a lot of superstars, and so that type setup,
and another thing that helps in the duels, we don't have many weight classes where we don't have someone to fit in that slot. That helps too.
It does help.
But
to be honest, we really should have everyone fit.
Right.
And so the fact that we were forfeiting 2 classes, which we had to give those points away, and it sounds good to say, well, we're only forfeiting 2, but to be really competitive, you need to cover every class.
Right. And that just because.
You just have to have the bodies.
Yeah, exactly. But that's one of the things, though, that I think as time goes on, and especially, with the middle school seeing, hey, the high school is doing well. They go up and finish, go ahead and go into the state tournament, because that way it'll give you a chance to say it rather than me say it. So, after 1 week after area, we traveled to Macon to do the state competition.
Right. So we went to the Coliseum, and it's a huge event. It's a great opportunity for the kids to see, all those mats and all those people, because you've got all classifications there at the same time.
It's amazing.
It's an experience.
How much the time is controlled, though. It's so quick in terms of everyone's ready. It's going on time, and everything's
Yeah, so it was great to
to
qualify
watch.
to state.
Yeah.
I was so happy that we qualified to go to state, and I was proud of the kids. I'm really proud. We have some great leadership and some great seniors, but I'm really happy that we've got a large percentage of our team that are young guys, or freshmen and sophomores that are participating and getting points for the team. So, I feel good about the future, because these guys are going to grow up, and they're going to, they barely know what to do now, but they're going to grow up and be good wrestlers. And
we end up finishing eighth in state, which
That's
isn't bad. There are a lot of teams that would have loved to have been there that weren't there.
I know.
And now, with the dual competition's over with. But next year, you mentioned the seniors that will be losing. Why don't you mention some of those seniors and what they have brought to the program?
Well, we've got Austin Souls and Austin Lloyd and John Williams and Ryan Washington.
Yeah, we'll be talking to Ryan in just a little bit.
Yep. These guys, they all bring something different. They're very good wrestlers, every one of them. They've really grown into it, and have, since I've been here, I've been able to see them, improve and get better, and I'm really proud of them. But there's something else that they bring other than just their wrestling skill. It's just, them becoming young men and learning how to be leaders for the young guys.
Well, most of the guys you mentioned, I'd have to say they're the kind of people that, as a teacher, when you sit there and look up and see that they're coming into your classroom, you're not going, oh boy. You enjoy seeing them.
Sure.
Because they're class individuals.
Well, we have pressure to win and to perform as a wrestling team, but I feel a different pressure too, and it's just to be seen and to represent East Lawrence well.
Right.
And for people to see us and they're proud.
School well, they represent their parents well. they represent themselves well wherever they go.
The nature of wrestling, we travel a lot. And I can honestly say that I'm so happy to leave town with those guys and not have to worry about checking rooms and, you know, if anybody's going to do something they're not supposed to do. It's just, that's really far back in my mind because, you know, these guys have, you know, grown into, you know, responsible young men, and that's what we emphasize. Well, I really try to put as much, I forget sometimes, but I try to put as much emphasis on that as I do the wrestling because that's something that's going to help them, you know, for the rest of their life.
Right. And I can honestly say that, you know, with those young men that you've mentioned, you know, they represent East Lawrence well, whatever they do. Well, folks, we're up against a break. We'd like to ask you please honor these sponsors that make this show possible.
Would you like to save on your energy cost and lower your utility bills at the same time? Then you need to call today your spray foam specialist at 275-2100. Studies by the U.S. Department of Energy show that 40% of a home's energy is lost as the result of air infiltration through walls, windows, and doorways. Insulation that is sprayed protects against moisture, which prevents the benefit of reducing the chance of harmful mold and mildew. Spray Foam Specialist provides customers with a proper assessment of all your insulation needs. Call Spray Foam Specialist today at 275-2100 for a healthier, quieter, and more energy-efficient home. Spray Foam Specialist, Dublin.
And we're back with the East Lawrence Falcons Coaches Show. Now, before our break, I mentioned, you know, and Coach Whitten mentioned the young men that were seniors on the wrestling team, and we have one senior here to be able to talk with you, and I get a chance to talk with him, and I can honestly say I've had the pleasure of having him in class. Fine young man, one of those guys that, as Coach said, you don't have to worry about, you know, when you go somewhere, you know that Ryan's going to represent himself, his family, his school very well. And Ryan, glad to have you here.
Pleasure to be here, Mr. Davenport.
Now, you know, we talked with Coach Whitten about, you know, a little bit about duels, but before we get into, you know, wrestling and how long you've been wrestling, all that kind of good stuff, why don't you tell the folks a little bit about yourself?
Well, as he said, my name is Ryan Washington. I'm from a senior here, and, you know, I've been wrestling since high school, first starting under Coach Coley. But, yes, sir. Another things I also do, I also play percussion in the marching band.
Right.
Yeah, and started playing football this year, and I'm planning on playing soccer this year as well.
All right. And never a bad thing to be a little bit well-rounded, you know, different things.
Right.
Now, you mentioned you've been wrestling since high school started.
Yes, sir.
Now, what's the one thing, if you had to really, you know, think about it, the one thing that really attracted you to wrestling and kept you going? Because it's one of those things, it's not for everybody.
Right.
I'd probably think, you know, from a standpoint of just sheer activity in the short period of time that y'all are there, it's the most strenuous sport that, you know, someone could compete in at any level, high school, college, you name it. But what's the one thing that really attracted you to the sport?
Well, actually, my brother was actually wrestling before he had an arm injury back in middle school and a little bit in high school. So he pretty much got me into wrestling. And on my father's side, I have a few state champs on that side in wrestling, stuff like that. And so back when I was growing up and everything like that, they'll tell me their stories about wrestling. And so that pretty much got me interested. But I didn't actually start wrestling until high school started.
Mm-hmm. Was it one of those things where when your brother was wrestling, he'd come home and use you as a sparring partner?
Yes, sir.
Because that's kind of how my boys are at home. It's like, hey, Palmer, come here. And then you end up tying the smaller one up in a knot. And, okay, let me up.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it happened.
Okay, now, you know, we had the duels. What was your impression this year of how y'all progressed going through area and then state tournament?
I mean, I was extremely proud of what the team has done. Starting at the beginning of the season, you know, we were pretty much a young team and everything like that. But what pretty much helped me, it pretty much told me like it's gonna be like a special year for the team, was the second match of the year we had our home tournament. It was an individual tournament, but you know, they counted all the points together and everything like that, and we ended up getting first. Then very next week, duels tournament at Baldwin County. Got first in that tournament again. So, you know, and then we was doing well in all these other individual tournaments and little matches against like Telfair, Vidalia, and all them. And, you know, we was really doing well. So area duels came up. You know, we know those are very important, especially for us seniors, because we went our freshman year and sophomore year. Junior year, we didn't get to go, but we was pretty close. So we knew we definitely had to bust our tails at practice and things like that, because we wanted to at least make it to state. So area came in, like we seen the brackets when we came in, our eyes just lit up because we like placed number 2 seed in the tournament. So we knew this, like the coaches and everything who set the brackets up, they knew what type of talent we have in, so let's pretty much put on a show and let them know like what East Lawrence has to offer.
Now, what was your impression of the state tournament? Because you mentioned, you know, your freshman year, sophomore year, and then, you know, missed out the junior year. It has to be a good feeling to go out as a senior knowing that y'all made it to the state tournament.
Yes, sir. State tournament, you know, came in there. We was one of the first teams there and everything like that. I mean, you walk in there, people's not even in there, but you can just feel the energy in there, like all the mats laying out, the lights coming on, people starting to come in. It's like when you make it to state duels, you know, even if like you somewhat, some people may even look at you as an underdog, but hey, it's like you made it to state. You easily can go up the head-to-head with all the other teams there and things like that. So a first impression is like just straight up just energy, like you know you belong there, you know you got to at least put on a show. Yeah.
Now, senior, what are your plans for the future as you know, your senior year comes to an end, because it's not many, you know, many weeks left. So, what are your plans?
My plans are to, of course, graduate from high school, but get accepted into a 4-year university and either major in history or social science, something like that.
All right, Ryan. Well, glad to have you here. Enjoyed the season and just enjoyed your contribution to East Lawrence Wrestling and to East Lawrence High School. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right.
Come on.
Computer problem? Call Freedom PCs and it'll be problem solved. Freedom PCs is Central Georgia's computer repair and networking specialist. Business or residential, they will get you up and running. Now offering on-site service. If it can't be fixed on-site, they offer free pickup and delivery. For computer or network problems, call Freedom PCs. Also offering new and refurbished desktops and laptops. For any business or residential computer problem, visit 1101G Hillcrest Parkway or call 272-4620. And yes, they also service Macs.
And we're back with the East Lawrence Falcons Coaches Show. Now, Coach Whitten, you know, we just spoke to Ryan Washington, one of your seniors, and we talked earlier about the state dual tournament. But this is one thing, you know, like you said, it finishes up around Valentine's Day, but we're not there yet. We got you know, the traditional tournament coming up. We had area last week. So this week it's broken up into area and then sectionals and state.
Right.
So after sectionals, is sectionals and state on the same weekend, or do they come back?
We'll come back another week.
Another week. So
we just had area, and the traditional area, you know, like I mentioned before, as it turns out, we're a better dual team. I mean, usually you're going to be better at one or the other, and hopefully as good as you can at both, of course. But we placed second as a dual team, but we didn't place as high as a traditional team. We were happy to beat our cousins over at Dublin in the dual tournament, but they beat us in the traditional area. They actually got second instead of us behind Bremen for traditional state and for our traditional area. So, but we're still got some good guys in there, and we didn't take everybody. A couple of guys were sick and kind of banged up from actually some non-wrestling stuff. You know, kids are kids; things happen. So we didn't take a full team, and we lost some point getters. So as a team, we didn't score as many points, but we had some individual standouts. we've 3 of those seniors that we mentioned
Well,
earlier.
why don't you mention the ones that are advancing to sections?
Austin Souls got second in the area, and a really close match. He was winning and had the guy, the number 1 guy from Bremen on his back for half of the round, and just things happen, and you wind up right at the end. The guy passed him, and he lost and got second, which is a tough thing to do. I'm real proud that he got even got there. John Williams got second, and he was an underdog, and he exceeded expectations and did great. John's been getting better and better and better, and he really showed it at the area traditional area tournament. And then Zyshawn Holloman, who's not a senior. Zyshawn's a extraordinary athlete.
Yes.
He's got a lot of potential. He's going to be a great wrestler. Every year he gets better. The last couple of years I've seen a lot of growth. And Zyshawn got second. He also had a close match in the finals. And I feel like if he gets to see that same kid again at state, he may beat him. So it could have gone either way. And so really proud of those guys. And we actually, what I'm also very proud of is the guys who didn't qualify for state. A lot of the younger guys qualified as alternates. I mean, we had 6 guys who are alternates. That means they're on the edge of breaking into that group. And these are freshmen and sophomores. And so with those guys doing so well, I feel like we've got a good toehold, and they're going to come back next year and really make a difference. And of course, there's a possibility if somebody doesn't make weight or gets sick, that those guys actually might get a chance this year. So the sectionals are coming up this weekend. We hope to do well.
Now, where will the sectionals be?
They'll be in Bremen
as well.
Okay. And so they'll be in Bremen. We'll do that this weekend, and then the following week is when the big tournament, the big traditional state tournament, is in Atlanta and in Gwinnett County.
All right. Now, with most of the sports that are in Georgia now, it's not just a seasonal thing. It's one of those things where you're going to be preparing in some manner, on a year-round basis.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the things that, as school year is getting closer and closer to the end, when will y'all start, conditioning again?
We'll start preparing pretty soon after the season's over. We'll start lifting weights. We'll be spending a lot of time in the weight room, just trying to get stronger and faster, and just become, better, with more well-rounded athletes. And then once summer comes, we'll continue lifting weights, and we'll go to some camps, and we'll have a lot of opportunities just to scrimmage and work out with some of the teams that we see in the year. We'll probably travel as much during the summer as we do during wrestling season. We'll actually get on a bus and go, and we'll just be wrestling for fun, not for points. That's the only difference. But these guys will get out there. We don't condition as much, in the summertime because you can't stay in that type of condition all year long.
Right, because
it's just no way to do it. So we focus on getting stronger and just getting, learning and getting better, and the guys, getting more, more prepared for whatever situations they may come into on a wrestling mat. And then, and as the summer starts to wane, we'll start doing a little bit more cardio and that kind of, easing into, getting ourselves in better shape cardiovascularly. So it's year round. I mean, it's the only way to be competitive.
Right.
Because that guy, the other team's doing it.
Doing the same thing, right? You can't just decide, oh, well,
No, it's very serious. And these guys, they really sacrifice a lot. And wrestling is getting more and more popular in Georgia, but it's not like football. And these guys don't have, just hordes of fans coming to every event. So they've got to have something else. They've got to reach down inside themselves and, to work that hard.
You've got to have some intestinal fortitude to do what they do.
Right. It's not just for the glory. They have to really work hard for a lot less recognition.
Right.
And so I'm very proud of them, and I think that things are looking up.
All right. Well, Coach, glad to have you with us. Folks, if you ever get a chance, this season's coming to an end, but next season when wrestling begins, if you know a wrestler or are friends, family friend with a wrestler, go to a tournament. You won't be disappointed. The level of intensity and action is for the uninitiated, it's not to be believed. And as always, get a chance to support these kids, and go Falcons.